To order. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move a call of the Senate.
A call of the Senate has been moved and hands up, properly sustained. Will the sergeants please close the doors, allow no senators to leave, return those who are absent. And Mr. Majors, would you please call a roll? And help me figure out.
Aguilar. Aguilar. Balmer. Baumgartner. Brophy. Brophy. Cadman. Crowder. Grantham. Grantham. Guzman. Guzman. Harvey. Heath. Herpin. Hill. Hodge. Hodge. John. Johnston. Johnston. This is like right there. Johnston. Jones. Kafalis. Kafalis. Kerr.
No, I've only got 2 of these.
Kerr. King. King. Lambert. Lundberg. Marble. Marble. Newell. Newell. Nicholson. Renfro. Rivera. Roberts. Sheffel. Schwartz. Stedman. Talkdrop. Todd. Ulibarri. Zenzinger. Kafalis. Aguilar.
I'll run up before you start there. I'll run off some copies real quick.
Guzman.
Oh, so I got all those friends on here. I have to get them off too.
Are those all committee reports?
Hey, Morgan?
King.
Can you just like thank them? If you would have responded by
Grantham. Marble.
Can we get some more special orders printed out? So, who would start reading? You want to start reading, Max? I mean, so maybe we want to raise the call and then start reading and do the call again. Okay, Raleigh. Can you print out some special orders?
We're down 3, but we have a bunch of people to, a bunch of stuff to read across. So why don't we raise the call, do this, and if we need to, we'll do another call.
So Senator Shuffle.
Newell.
Linda? Stay here.
They're getting ready.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the call be erased.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The call will be raised. Committee reports.
April 30, 2014, Madam President, the Committee on Education is out of consideration at a hearing on the following appointments. Recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirm member of the College of Vest Board of Directors for a term expiring July 31st, 2016. Kathleen V. Scott of Vail, Colorado, on occasion by the resignation of Angela A. Grippenstraw of Greenwood Village, Colorado, appointed. April 30, 2014, Committee on Education, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1365 before the Committee of the Whole. A favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30, 2014, Committee on Education, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1316 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on Appropriations. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1118 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1352 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1311 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1373 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1355 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1096 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1015 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1301 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1037 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1023 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1066 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1085 before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1279 be amended as follows and as amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1013 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1374 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 57 be postponed indefinitely. April 30, 2014, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following Senate Bill 215 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30, 2014, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1281 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1360 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations. A favorable recommendation. April 30, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following Senate Bill 196 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 217 be amended as follows, and as so amended before the Committee on Appropriations. A favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 216 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 219 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1380 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1379 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1372 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1214 be amended as follows, and now so amended for the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 213 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 be amended as follows, and now so amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Concurrent Resolution 1002 be postponed indefinitely. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1351 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Concurrent Resolution 5 be postponed indefinitely. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 218 be amended as follows, and as so amended for the Committee on Appropriations. A favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1387 be amended as follows, and as so amended for the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1388 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1383 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 30th, 2014, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, committee recommends the following. House Bill 1378 be amended as follows, and now so amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation.
Message from the House.
April 30th, 2014, Madam President, the House has voted concurrent Senate amendments to House Bills 1322, 1011, 1014, 1072, 1170, 1205, 1216, 1327, 1331, 1199, 1228, 1321, 1339, 1260, and has repassed the bills as so amended. April 30th, 2014, Madam President, the House has postponed indefinitely Senate Bill 181. The bills returned herewith.
He's here.
Great. Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 220 by Senator
320.
by Senators Ulibarri and Sheffel and Representatives Singer and Del Grosso concerning prerequisites to the authority of a Union Owners Association to pursue resolution of disputes involving construction defects.
State Veterans and Military Affairs and Judiciary.
Senate Bill 221 by Senators Kerr and Zanzinger concerning reducing the frequency of administering the statewide assessment of social studies.
Education.
House Bill 1343 by Representatives Singer and Wright and Senator Toptrop concerning workers' compensation coverage for post-traumatic stress disorder for peace officers.
Local government.
House Bill 1367 by Representative Tyler and Senator Brophy concerning the exemption of autocycles from regulation as motorcycles in connection therewith defining autocycle, exempting autocycles from motorcycle statutes, requiring autocycles to be issued license plates similar to motorcycle license plates, and making an appropriation.
Transportation.
House Bill 1369 by Representative Young and Senators Crowder and John concerning required licensure for durable medical equipment suppliers in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1394 by Representative DeRay and Senator Lambert concerning the use of disputed payments of tobacco litigation settlement monies received by the state to reduce the annual amount of accelerated payments allocated from the Tobacco Litigation Settlement Cash Fund.
Appropriations.
House Bill 1396 by Representative Ryden and Senator King concerning clarification of the authority of persons acting on behalf of the Department of Public Health and Environment to administer the medical marijuana registry.
Health and Human Services. Mr. Majority Leader.
I think we can go like the third reading. Everybody's here. You've got everybody in the roll, but you put Senator Kerr on the roll.
They're still in
Okay, everybody's here.
Third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1093?
House Bill 1093 by Representative Duran and Senator Newell concerning the establishment of the Creative District Community Loan Fund and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1093 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1093. A roll call vote has been requested. Mr. Majors, please poll the senators.
Aguilar. Aguilar, aye. Balmer. Balmer, no. Baumgartner. Baumgartner, no. Brophy. Brophy, no. Cadman. Cadman, no. Crowder. Crowder, no. Grantham. Grantham, no. Guzman. Guzman, aye. Harvey. Harvey, no. Heath. Heath, aye. Herpin. Herpin, no. Hill. Hill, no. Hodge. Hodge, aye. John. John, aye. Johnston. Johnston, aye. Jones. Jones, aye. Kafalis. Kafalis, aye. Kerr. Kerr, aye. King. King, no. Lambert. Lambert, no. Lundberg. Lundberg, no. Marble. Marble, no. Newell. Newell, aye. Nicholson. Nicholson, aye. Renfro. Renfro, no. Rivera. Rivera, no. Roberts. Roberts, aye. Scheffel. Scheffel, no. Schwartz. Schwartz, aye. Stedman. Stedman, aye. Talktrop. Talktrop, aye. Todd. Todd, aye. Ulibarri. Ulibarri, aye. Zenzinger. Zenzinger, aye. Madam President.
Aye.
Madam President, aye.
With 19 ayes, 16 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1093 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senators Johnston, Kafalis, Todd, Kerr. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1175?
House Bill 1175 by Representatives Fields and Pabon and Senator Johnston concerning studying strategies for successful ongoing recruitment of minority teachers in public schools and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1175 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1175. Any no votes? Senators Baumgartner, Crowder, Mr. Minority Leader. Senators Scheffel, Harvey, Lambert, Brophy, Herpin, Lundberg, Marble, Grantham, Renfro, Rivera, King, Roberts, Balmer. Senator Hill. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1175 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senators Aguilar, Kafalis, Nicholson, Kerr, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Stedman, Todd, Schwartz, Ulibarri. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1326?
Me too.
House Bill 1326 by Representatives Primavera and Scott and Senator Hodge concerning tax incentives for alternative fuel trucks and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1326 on third reading and final passage, and I ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Questions the adoption of House Bill 1326? Are there any no votes? Senator Lundberg. Senators Baumgartner, Lambert, Marble, Grantham, Hill, Balmer, Scheffel. With 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1326 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senators Ulibarri, Kafalis, Todd, Aguilar, Kerr, Zenzinger, Nicholson, Johnston, Schwartz, Jones, Newell, Senator Crowder, Senator Toktrop, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Rivera, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1310?
House Bill 1310 by Representatives Janal and Gardner and Senators King and Johnston concerning the provision of breath testing devices to law enforcement agencies.
Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1310 on third reading, final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Questions the adoption of House Bill 1310? Any no votes? Senator Marble, Senators Baumgartner, Lambert, Lundberg, Balmer, Scheffel, Hill.
Just gonna have to take blood.
Senator Renfro. With 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1310 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Rivera, Senator Herpin, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 190?
Senate Bill 190 by Senator Lambert and Representative Giroux concerning criminal discovery and in connection therewith creating a statewide discovery sharing system of criminal discovery surcharge, civil immunity for district attorneys that make a good faith effort to redact information from discovery documents and making an appropriation.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 190.
Any discussion? Any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 190 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Aguilar, Senator Ulibarri, Senators Nicholson, Rivera, King, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Todd. Please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 203?
Senate Bill 203 by Senators Lambert and Newell and Representatives May and Gardner concerning the Office of the Respondent Parents Counsel in cases of alleged child abuse or neglect.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 203.
Any discussion? Questions the adoption of Senate Bill 203? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 203 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senators Crowder, Roberts, Stedman, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Kafalis, Nicholson, Lundberg, Kerr, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Toktrop, Rivera, Aguilar, Hodge, Todd, Schwartz, Jones. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1298?
House Bill 1298 by Representatives Hamner and Buckner, Senators Kerr and Stedman concerning the financing of public schools in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1298 on third reading and final passage.
Any discussion?
No, he's got it.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask permission to run a third reading amendment.
Truly technical.
Proceed with caution, Senator Kerr, in explaining why you would be asking for permission for a third reading amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. Chatfield Reservoir.
Yeah, that's right.
Has very, very little to do with this technical amendment.
Okay.
And actually, everything else is just icing on the cake, since actually Senator Harvey was clapping to that. So, and I heard that, Senator Cadman. I heard that. I would ask permission to run L036. It is a technical amendment that helps us conform to an amendment that was passed on second reading. It strikes the number 25 and substitutes the number 26. Wait. It strikes the number 26 and substitutes the number 27. Let me see if I can get you along here. Strikes the number 26 and also substitutes the number 27 on page 37. Line 18, 20, and 21. With that, I ask for an aye vote.
Teamwork question is permission for Senator Kerr to offer our third reading amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, Senator Kerr. You've been granted permission. Senator Kerr, please, Mr. Majors, please read L036.
Amendment L036, House Bill 1298.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. What Mr. Majors did not read was the portion dealing with Chatfield Reservoir at the bottom here, but I think we did strike that and would ask that Senator Stedman back me up that this is a small technical amendment. Please vote aye.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, this really is a technical amendment, and it comes about because this year we are in the wonderful, fortunate situation of running two school finance bills at once. And what that means is that in each bill, there are certain sections that say this section only takes effect if this bill passes, and this section takes effect if that bill fails. And there was a floor amendment yesterday that didn't make the required conforming amendments to the effective date clauses, where we specify which sections are triggered by the passage or failure of the other bill, and that's those 26s and 27s that we're correcting. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion on L036? Are there any no votes? Senator Marble is a no on L036. No conforming by Senator Marble. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill or Amendment L036 is adopted. Back to the bill, Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. In all seriousness, House Bill 1298 is this year's School Finance Act. It actually, as a bill itself, is not nearly as long or complicated as a School Finance Act. Again, I'll ask your indulgence of me to talk about my experience both as a teacher and as a father, and why the reason I'm here in the Senate and in the legislature is to make sure that we're providing opportunities for our students and all of our kids throughout the state of Colorado. House Bill 1298 is this year's effort to make sure that we are fully funding all of the programs, all of the kids, all of the schools in our state, making sure that we are making a full commitment for the next generation, that we're making a full commitment to students in the 21st century. I definitely want to say that this is the absolute best bill possible. And I do think that our School Finance Act this year is the best bill possible at this time. I don't think it's everything that we could be doing. I think that we definitely should be doing more. I want to go back to something I said yesterday on second reading about the School Finance Act. And we've all been contacted by our school districts, we've been contacted by our superintendents, we've been contacted by our teachers and our parents and even our students, asking the legislature to please buy down the negative factor and to do something about the negative factor and to make sure that we are making the largest commitment that we can to our kids. While there is other legislation out there that impacts some of those things as well, I want to make sure that you know that the single largest investment in buying down the negative factor is in House Bill 1298. When your constituents ask you, what did you do to pay down the negative factor, the School Finance Act this year pays down and makes sure that the negative factor does not grow, with $252 million going directly to the negative factor that our school districts can use in whatever manner they feel is in the best interest of your local districts under full local control. $252 million going to the negative factor. This is, I think, financially the best commitment that we can do at this time with the resources that we have available to us. I think we should do more. I think we could do more given the proper resources. But at this time, I think that this is the best legislation that we can come up with. At this time, I'd like to ask for your support for House Bill 1298. Thank you.
I had Senator Lundberg down.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I was content to simply vote on this until some discussion and debate or discussion was given by the sponsor, it's appropriate to tell you why I'm not voting for this and why I haven't voted for. I don't know if I voted for a School Finance Act. And it's not just a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, we're spending too much money. This is, of course, the largest investment that we make with our general fund. But I'm deeply concerned that we don't get it when it comes to high-quality education in this state. I've spent a good deal of my adult life involved in promoting the very best education for students in Colorado. And it's not just within the public system, but somehow there's this mindset that that's the only universe that exists. And yet, if you can open your eyes to all of the educational formats out there, you'll discover that there are some incredible success stories. There's some incredible kids that are a real hope for tomorrow for our state that aren't in the public school system. There are private schools that do fantastic work. And from my background in the homeschool world, I shake my head in disbelief when I see the contrasts. And it amounts to this one particular point. Put the parents back in charge of the process. Stop assuming that the state system is all-powerful and all-controlling. Start promoting and passing legislation that empowers parents. I don't see that. Now, there are some good things in this bill, I'm certain. There's some positive steps forward in certain areas that need to be dealt with. But the overall principle and priority for education, which is what we spend more of our general fund on than anything else, has got it upside down. And I don't say this too often, but I'm going to say it before I leave here, Lord willing, a few more times too, because we need to get it. We need to figure out that education works when you put parents in charge of the process. And we can't manage and manipulate it from the top down. It goes from the bottom up. I'm a no vote on this because the fundamental assumptions are wrong.
Senator Brophy.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, the sponsor of this bill said that this is the best that we can do. Well, shall we examine the record? In the last 4 years, we have had a 4.7% increase in the number of students in our K-12 system and a 4% increase in the amount of funding going to K-12 education. Meanwhile, we have had an 80% increase in the amount of funding going into Medicaid. The expansion of healthcare entitlements is eating up all of the money that ought to be going into investment in our future. Those are the choices that have been made by the majority party. And the sponsor says that is the best that we can do. Really? That is the best that we can do. We have taken in billions more money in general fund revenue, and we are spending it expanding Obamacare at the expense of our kids and their futures. And that is the best that we can do. Really. Yesterday I asked for $4 million for highly effective teachers to go into poorly performing school districts. And we couldn't get that. But we can spend $800 million a year more expanding entitlements. And that's the best that we can do? It's pretty poor performance. I would have sat in my seat but for that. If that is the best that you can do, you don't deserve to be in charge of this place.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1298? Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I am a no on 1298, and I want to tell you why. When we say that we're about ready to fund, you know, the best school system and do the best for our kids, I just want to point out one fact. And this fact is in the bill summary on page 2, and it's about a third of the page down. For the 2014-15 budget year, the bill increases by 5,000 the number of positions funded in the Colorado preschool program. Senators, our Constitution does not fund those people. What we are lawfully to fund is ages 6 through 20. A school district or a charter school may use the positions to serve a child in half-day or full-day preschool or in full-day kindergarten. We aren't even paying the teachers we have in K-12 enough. What are we doing? Telling them, once again, they aren't worth a raise, but we're going to give it to something that is not constitutionally allowed in our state. I cannot say that this is one of the best proposals that we have had for financing our school system, especially when we're extending by 5,000 and cutting short those great teachers that we have and trying to keep and incentivize them to stay in K-12. And that is why, one of the reasons why I am a no on 1298.
Question is Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll renew my ask that you vote in favor of House Bill 1298. And just a couple of responses. Absolutely, if you want to make sure that we are doing the best that we can to fund great teachers, if you're going to want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to prepare our early childhood children in preschool, in kindergarten, to actually be prepared to go on in first grade and be able to read and write and be successful in schools. If you're going to vote to make sure that our kids are prepared for the 21st century, which is a really odd thing to say since we're well over a tenth of the way into the 21st century, and we actually need to be preparing our kids for the second half of the 21st century, then you need to vote for House Bill 1298. A vote for House Bill 1298 is a vote for our future, our kids, and our schools. Thank you.
The question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1298. Are there any no votes? Senators Lundberg, Scheffel, Baumgartner, Lambert, Brophy, Marble, Balmer, Harvey, Hill. Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Grantham, Renfro, with 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1298 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senators Talktrop, Ulibarri, Newell, Johnston. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Nicholson, Zenzinger, Kafalis, Jones, Todd. Madam President Pro Tem. Please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 172?
Senate Bill 172 by Senators Talktrop and Newell and Representative Kraftlark concerning employer-paid benefits to a firefighter for cardiac illnesses resulting from a strenuous work event in connection therewith, making an appropriation.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. We move Senate Bill 172 with a favorable recommendation.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of Senate Bill 172. Are there any no votes? Senators Lundberg, Renfro, Baumgartner, Marble, Harvey, Lambert, Brophy. Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Scheffel, Grantham, Hill. With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 172 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Kafalis, Senator Roberts, Senator Rivera, Senators Kerr, King, Herpin, Ulibarri, Nicholson, Todd. Mr. Majority Leader. Please add the President. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. In a moment, I'm going to move that we take up special orders to go ahead and do the second reading consent calendar of tomorrow so we can get those bills taken care of and those Senate bills moving. So with that, Madam President, I move that the Senate take up House Bill 1202, 1303, 1338, 1357, 1358, 1368, Senate Bill 199, House Bill 1348, and, Madam President, I've been asked to remove House Bill 1334 from the consent calendar and place it on general order second reading of bills for tomorrow.
Mr. Majority Leader, at the hour of, what
yes, I'm sorry.
You like to?
Yes, and the hour of 10 minutes to 8.
At the hour of 7:50. The motion is that the Senate take up tomorrow's consent calendar, House Bill 1202, House Bill 1303, House Bill 1338, House Bill 1357, House Bill 1358, House Bill 1368, Senate Bill 99, House Bill 1348, removing House Bill 1334. On special order, second reading of bills, consent calendar at the hour of 7:50. This motion requires 2/3 vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. The Senate will take up those bills listed on special order second reading of bills consent calendar at the hour of 7:50. The Senate will stand in a brief recess to allow the special orders calendar to be prepared and distributed. my little light's on, so I thought we were good. The Senate will come back to order. Special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, Senator Schwartz. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into a committee of the whole for purpose of considering special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Schwartz will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The committee will come to order. The quorum is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1202?
Consent calendar.
Thank you. Mr. Major, Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills listed in the special order second reading of bills consent calendar and their associated committee reports, which includes House Bill 1202, 1303, and its State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report. Pardon?
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to all the bills on the second reading consent calendar?
House Bill 1202 by Representative Scott, Senator Don Sheffield, concerning study the accountability requirements for school districts for which the State Board of Education may waive statewide testing requirements in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations. House Bill 1303 by Representatives Scott and Ferrandino and Senator Schwartz, concerning the receipt of public testimony from remote locations around the state by legislative committees in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations. House Bill 1338 by Representatives Major Rowe and Senators Hodge and Lambert, concerning planning for the effective use of Colorado's regional centers for persons with intellectual disabilities in connection therewith making an appropriation. House Bill 1357 by Representative Young and Senator Aguilar, concerning in-home support services provided in the Medicaid program and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations. House Bill 1358 by Representatives Young and Josie and Senator Aguilar, concerning continuation of in-home support services in connection therewith authorizing in-home support services for spinal cord injury waiver pilot program participants. House Bill 1368 by Representatives Major Rowe and Senator Hodge, concerning the transition of youth ages 18 through 21 who have intellectual and developmental disabilities to the adult program of services for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations. Senate Bill 199 by Senator Grantham and Representative Becker, concerning amendments to the charter of the town of Georgetown and in connection therewith adding new provisions, modifying existing provisions, and deleting obsolete provisions in the charter. House Bill 1348 by Representative Ferrandino and Senator Heath, concerning extension of the effective date of the amended retail sales tax definition adopted in House Bill 131295 to take effect only if Congress enacts an act that authorizes states to require certain retailers to pay, collect, or remit state or local sales taxes.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills listed in the special order second reading bills consent calendar and their associated committee reports, which includes House Bill 1202, 1303, and its State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report, House Bill 1338, and House Bill 1357, 58, 68, Senate Bill 99, and its local government committee report, and 1348.
Is there any discussion of any of the committee reports on any of the bills listed on the special orders consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all of the committee reports. Senator Grantham, no. Adoption of all the committee reports to all the bills on the special orders second reading of bills consent calendar. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Is there any discussion of any of the bills listed on the special orders consent calendar? Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very quickly, colleagues, wanted to call your attention to something that is on the consent calendar here. Not to pull it off, but just to bring your attention to it on Senate Bill 199. It's something very unique that the state legislature has the opportunity to do, and it only happens once every several decades, and it's working with the charter of the territorial town of Georgetown. There's only one territorial town left, and that is Georgetown. The previous one to remove itself from that ranks was Blackhawk. But it is up to us, because it precedes statehood. It is still in our purview to actually do charter changes to that. And they still have a police judge instead of a mayor. They still have selectmen instead of councilmen. It's a very unique thing to look at. Their old charter, the police judge actually had the authority to go room to room to go house to house and inspect your wine or your whiskey casks and your whiskey barrels. We actually did change some of that in this new charter, but they still have that in the, I know, Senator Talktrop, that interests you very much, and you might be moving to Georgetown here pretty quick. But folks, just to call that to your attention without letting it slip by the full Senate unnoticed, I wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion of any of the bills on the special orders consent calendar? See none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. All the bills have been adopted. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The Senate will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under considerations. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 30th, 2014, Madam President, your committee of the whole makes these reports out of consideration of the following tax bills being second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 199 is amended, passed on second reading in order to gross place the counter for third reading, final passage. House Bills 1202, 1303 is amended, 1338, 1357, 1358, 1368, 1348, passed on second reading in order to revise place the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 199 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1202, House Bill 1303 is amended, House Bill 1338, House Bill 1357, House Bill 1358, House Bill 1368, House Bill 1348, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senator Schwartz. Senator Schwartz renews her motion for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Oh, already read that. Sorry about that. General orders, second reading of bills calendar. Senator Schwartz. For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into committee of the whole for purpose of considering general orders, second reading of bills calendar, and Senator Schwartz will take the chair.
Sorry, I thought we already adopted the report. The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1316.
House Bill 1316 by Representative Williams and Salazar, Senators Ulibarri and Guzman, concerning methods to determine whether disparities involving certain historically underutilized businesses consist within the state procurement process in connection therewith commissioning a study to make such a determination, requiring the Department of Personnel to track contracts awarded to historically underutilized businesses and making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we lay over House Bill 1316 until May 2nd.
The motion before us is to lay over House Bill 1316 until May the 2nd. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. House Bill 1316 will be laid over until May 2nd. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1292?
House Bill 1292 concerning monies allocated to the state elementary and secondary public school system in connection therewith requiring increased reporting of the use of public monies by public schools, increasing the funding for public school capital construction, increasing the funding for the Colorado READ Act, and making an appropriation.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've already moved the committee reports, and those were voted on yesterday, so I renew our motion to support House Bill 1292 on second reading.
Senator Ulibarri, there's an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L065?
Amendment L 065 to House Bill 1292 by Senators Johnson, Todd, Sheffel, and Renfro. Amendment
Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I move Amendment 65. And I thank Senators Sheffel and Renfro and Senator Todd for all of their difficult and long-houred work on this effort, and of course Senator Cadman for his incredible leadership as always. So this is the result of, we did some work yesterday in Amendment 62 on transparency. This is some work to modify that and clarify the structures in a way that I think is the districts wanted us to help reduce some of the burden, the way the transparency bill will be structured. I'm happy to give over to Senator Todd to talk a little bit about it, and then I'll jump back in.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we want to be as transparent as we possibly can on L65. And this amendment, I am very proud to say, has come as a result of a lot of very hard work and a lot of collaboration. Senator Johnson, Senator Sheffel, Senator Renfro, and myself, I think really put our brains together, and we listened to each other. And I believe what we have done is tried to hold our districts as harmless as possible. So by saying that, what we mean is that we are trying to say, yes, we want transparency for our districts. We want to make sure that that is an opportunity for people to learn as much as they can about their districts, but without it becoming an encumberment and an unfunded mandate. So with that, what this bill, or what this amendment, L65, does is actually allows districts to continue to post their information on their local schools and their school districts, and then for a vendor to come in and actually pick that information up and decipher it, coordinate it, organize it, and put it on a website on CDE's website. That is something that is, I believe, going to be not easy, but it will certainly be less cumbersome for our districts because in many cases they're already doing that. Again, we took into very strong consideration rural districts as well as the urban districts to consider in writing this amendment, Amendment 65, and commencing July 1st, 2015, each local education provider shall post in a format that's downloadable and easy to be retrieved and be able to be deciphered by those that want to go and visit the website. So with that, I urge an aye vote on L65.
Is there further discussion of Amendment 65? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment 65. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Amendment 65 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Mr. Majors, appears to be an amendment on the desk. There's an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment 58?
Amendment L 058, House Bill 1292 by Senator Stedman, amend the Education Committee report dated April 17, 2014, page 2, strike lines 31 and 32, and substitute page 16.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L058. And colleagues, this is something we discussed in the Appropriations Committee, and I'm bringing it to the floor as well. This would strike from the bill the provisions affecting the BEST capital construction program. Right now, there are provisions in House Bill 1292 that say of the excise tax on retail marijuana sales that are credited to the BEST program, 12.5% of those revenues will be earmarked for the charter school capital constructions. I think that 12.5% number was based upon an assumption that there would be $40 million in excise tax revenue. There's not. The excise tax is coming in far below that, and so the 12.5% generates a number much smaller than $5 million. It makes you wonder even what is the BEST board going to do with an earmarked amount of money this year that constitutes not that much. I think with the excise tax money that Proposition AA and Amendment 64 directed to the BEST capital construction program, we should let the BEST board make decisions about which schools are prioritized to receive cash grants through the BEST program. The BEST program has a hierarchy laid out in statute, a prioritization, health, life, safety issues. That's a top priority. This provision in House Bill 1292 says, no, the earmark for charter schools comes first, comes before schools that have health, life, safety issues that might otherwise qualify them for a BEST grant. Now, the BEST board has been, I think, doing a good job of prioritizing the available revenues. They've given quite a few grants to charter schools. This is not something where it's a question of are you charter friendly or charter hostile. It's really a question of letting the BEST board allocate the dollars that the state constitution and Proposition AA provide to the BEST program. This earmark, especially in the beginning years when the revenues are fairly small, I don't think is the best policy. And I am proposing Amendment 058 to just strike this from the bill and let those dollars be decided by the BEST board according to the existing prioritization that they already use. I ask for an aye vote on 058.
Further discussion of Amendment 058. Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator. I respectfully ask for a no vote on this amendment. Senator Simon's correct that this amendment does seek to provide a certain base of charter school capital construction funding from out of the BEST grant. And when we parsed out the different sources of the bill, one of the sources for that charter capital funding was the BEST amendment. We did take out the rest of the restrictions on the BEST fund, so all the rest of those continue to go to health and safety priorities. So you have the original $40 million that right now goes to health and safety priorities, plus you have any other cash grants, plus you have the other 87.5% of these AA BEST funds that would go to health and safety. And so we think that's important. If in fact the revenues come in smaller than projected, then that means everyone will get a smaller than projected amount, both the charter schools as well as the rest of the BEST grant. And so I would ask for a no vote on this. I think it's something we worked very hard on to create some equity statewide for access to capital construction costs, and this is an important part of that. I'd ask for a no vote.
Further discussion of Amendment 58. Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd agree with the senator from Denver here and ask for a no vote on this also. I think the one that asked for a no vote on this Senator Johnston, how's that? Senator Johnston's who I agree with on this bill. So I ask for a no vote.
Break some laws.
Yes. So.
Further discussion, Amendment 58? All the, Senator Stedman.
Just one more point I'd like to make, colleagues, and that is, the BEST program was originally enacted particularly to help rural school districts with low assessed valuation, school districts that didn't have the capacity to bond their way into renovating school buildings in need of renovation or building new buildings. And as far as I can tell, the majority of charter schools aren't necessarily located in those school districts that the BEST program really had in mind. And so this earmark that comes in and puts charter schools first in line before rural schools, before health, life, safety issues, I don't think this is the way to proceed. I don't think it's what the voters intended when they passed Amendment 64. And I think it's just not the way to proceed. I understand there's lots of people that want to fund charter school construction. There are other increases in the bill directed at that line item. But I would prefer to let the BEST board do the job that statute appoints them to do and have them make these decisions about how to prioritize the money rather than earmarking it here in statute.
Further discussion? A division has been called. Will all those in the chamber not entitled to vote please be seated? The motion before the body is an approval of Amendment 58. All those in favor, please stand. All those in favor, please stand. Please be seated. All those opposed, please stand. The chair is not in doubt. The motion is adopted. The amendment fails. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Didn't have it on the cheat sheet. Amendment fails. Amendment 58 fails. Mr. Majors, would you, there's a motion on, an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment 60?
Amendment 0060 of the House Bill 1292 by Senator Stedman, amendment read Bill, page 19, line 21, strike.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L060. Colleagues, this is a technical amendment that corrects some language in the bill that amends, that cleans up provisions here related to BEST that also interact with Senate Bill 112, which was a JBC bill passed earlier in the year that switched the BEST grant program from being continuously appropriated to annually appropriated. This is truly a technical amendment, and I have a note right here from Julie Pellegrin that says, only offer this if 058 does not pass. Now, I saw what just happened to my previous amendment, and so that's why I'm offering this one and would humbly ask you to at least do the technical corrections to the earmarks that you all support for charter schools within the BEST program.
Further discussion of Amendment 60? Senator Johnston.
On the oath of Julie Pellegrin, I'd ask for an aye vote on this amendment. No, this is a technical amendment. Thank you to Senator Stedman for bringing it, and don't have any concerns. Consider it a friendly amendment. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lambert.
On behalf of the JBC, other members of the JBC, and those who really do want to clean up Chatfield Reservoir, also ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion of Amendment 60? Seeing none. All those in favor of adoption of Amendment 60, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Amendment 60 is adopted. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment 54?
Amendment 0054 to House Bill 1292 by Senator Renfro, amendment reading Bill.
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment 54.
To the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this amendment is dealing with automatic waivers that charters get that are in statute, that when they do their contract with their district, they agree to it within their contract with their authorizer, and then they have the automatic waivers in statute. What this does, it clarifies with CDE that those waivers are automatic and that they just happen. We've had some issues with charter schools submitting their waivers application and having it rejected because it didn't have the proper language within it that that CDE wanted, and so then the charters would have to take it back to their attorney and have them draft it and spend extra dollars putting the language in to justify that they knew what the automatic waivers that are in statute are. And so this isn't new waivers, this isn't anything to that sort. This is already automatic waivers that are in statute. And CDE has supported this, and so has the Charter League and the Institute. And so I'd ask for an aye vote on Amendment 54.
Further discussion, Amendment 54, Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill sponsors see this as a friendly amendment. It's an issue that came up in committee. We asked that the amendment sponsor hold until the floor so there would be time to review, look at the language, and go through, ensure that we weren't doing anything inappropriate in committee. That process has happened, so we're supportive of L054.
Senator Zenzinger.
I was just going to say the same thing. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We did hear this in committee. We did have an opportunity to have a little bit more time to investigate this, and I feel like the due diligence on this issue was taken care of, so I would also urge an aye vote.
Further discussion of Amendment 54? All those in favor of Amendment 54, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Amendment 54 is adopted. To the bill, Senators Johnson and Ulibarri. No further amendments. Senator Johnston.
Kumbaya, my lord. I move House Bill 1292 and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion of House Bill 1292. Senator Todd. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do just want to say this has been a bill that has been through, I think, every nook and cranny. And in my 10 years that I've been down here, we have addressed it in so many different ways. And I think one of the greatest accomplishments is the bipartisan effort, the listening to each other, the moving through some rough spots, and reaching, I think, what is an excellent bill to send over to the House. As we continued to move through, and we increased the number of the amount of money for the negative factor to 110 million, trying to restore some of that money that was lost. We increased and gave back money to the READ to help support our early readers, $20 million there. We continued to look at supporting our charter schools and making sure that we are able to give and create safe environments for all children in Colorado. And the transparency piece was the very final piece, the very final piece. And I will tell you, I was a holdout, not because I don't believe in transparency, but it was difficult for me to look at $3 million for transparency over giving it to children in the classroom. However, I believe that the consensus that we built and where we got today and through the last several days, we have spent many hours together, and really, I believe, respecting each other and our opinions and listening and making what I believe is a good final project or project to give back to our districts, keeping our districts as harmless from making any more unintended and unfunded mandates, and really making sure that what we are doing is saying, you came to us, we listened, and you came to us again, and we listened again. Our superintendents, our school boards, and our teachers, for the first time in the history of our state, stood strong and sent a very clear message. I'm proud to say we listened, we responded, and we now give this back to our districts and to the children of Colorado for a better education. Thank you.
Senator Sheffield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to add my name to the chorus that really says this was a long, arduous process that really involved many, many hours. I want to thank those that participated in it. I'll be supporting 1292. And the real winners with this bill is the education and the kids that we educate in our system. The autonomy and how we honored local control with the buy down of the negative factor. There are tremendous components. What you hear about a lot is the negotiation that went on the transparency, and there was a lot of wrangling that went on over that. But the things that are embedded in here that are real positives are the funding for charter schools, the moral obligation fund that was enhanced significantly through this bill. And again, the real winners are education process, local control, giving control to the districts and deferring to them in this process, and ultimately the kids that are getting educated, which obviously is the future of our state. So I would like to, again, just thank everybody who participated many hours, rolling up our sleeves, wrangling over this. Compliments to the Majority Leader for his part in this, kind of helping us get across the finish line, and good bill, vote yes.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I won't even begin to try to sing like Senator Johnston did, but clearly I think that's the spirit of this. I don't know when, and I must admit, serving in the role of Majority Leader does not allow me to serve on the education committees, and I certainly missed my last 5 years, missed this year, having served the previous 5. But this has been a coming together. The superintendents, the school boards, the Majority Leader of the House, and I had a dinner with our 2 superintendents and our 2 school board presidents, and I got to tell you, it was one of the longest dinners I've ever had in my life, because we were dealing with things that we all cared so much about, but just didn't seem to be able to come together. And it certainly made me think, and I think it made them think. And the long and the short of it is, we did listen, and as was said earlier, I think in ways that maybe we hadn't before, and sometimes you have to go through some difficult times before you really realize what really matters and where your true values are. And I think we all did that to, I think, to everybody. It needs to take credit and should take credit from all sides of the aisle, and certainly ending up with this education committee that came together in truly a bipartisan way. I had the privilege of having a number of them in my office this morning, and you all would have been very, very proud of that conversation, because we were dealing with some difficult issues, and we did find a common ground, and that resulted in the Amendment 65. I'd also be remiss without thanking Julie Pellegrin over there, who did her normal marvelous job, and certainly did again this morning to make it easier for all of us to come together. So my hat's off to all of us. I think we've made a major contribution. And one of the things that I think, and Senator Stedman mentioned it earlier, we've separated these two bills. But when you put them together, it's over $450 million going into K through 12, a major commitment from the legislature and for the people of the state to our kids. And I know we're going to continue to do that in the future. But my hat's off to everybody. Thank you very much.
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of this bill also, and it's amazing to look back on the process of where this started. When you look at the 113-page bill that was introduced with a boatload of names in the House and one name in the Senate on this bill. And I know it had a lot of ideas that Senator from Denver wanted to move forward with, and in fact reached out to us to come on board at that time, and there just frankly wasn't support for some of the things that were there. But I give the senator credit for listening and being open through the process and looking at the changes that needed to be made to do what the districts wanted, I guess is probably the best way, and parents, teachers, and administrators wanted. And so one thing I would say is I will add my name as a co-sponsor on this with you for this product that we're bringing out of here today. And you know, when we had the cuts through the last years to education, we didn't tell them how to cut, and they had to make their tough decisions day in and day out depending on their budget and what they had. And so that's a part of this bill that I'm really pleased about, is we're giving them money back and not telling them how to spend it with the $110 million of the negative factor that's coming back their way. And so I think that's a very positive part of this bill. Being a president of a charter board, obviously the charter money is exciting to charter schools, the opportunity that will have for them, and the things that will give them opportunities to do with that I can see. So it's a product that the end product here I'm happy to see. I hope obviously this bill will go back to the House, and one of these bills, either this or the finance, will go to conference committee because of I guess the need for our state education fund to probably have a balance of some sort that somebody will decide what that is. And so hopefully my wishes would be that this bill would be held harmless through that process, and when one of those goes to conference committee in the House, and that these funds within this would hold true for what we've done here today. And so I'd ask for your aye vote on this bill, and want to thank Senator Johnston for his work, and Senator Todd for what she's done to get this bill to this point also.
Is there further discussion of House Bill 1292? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 1292, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. 1292 is adopted. Senate, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 193?
Senate Bill 193 by Senators Carroll and Lundberg and Representative Singer, concerning conforming Colorado law and location information with the Fourth Amendment as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court of the United States v. Jones.
Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 93 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the Judiciary Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did a couple things in the Judiciary Committee. We clarified that this isn't referring to people who've been charged, tried, and convicted and are under perhaps ankle monitoring supervision by the probation and parole departments. And we made a change from the original version that had a reference to a 10 days, and we made it conform to Colorado's rules of criminal procedure, and ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there further discussion of the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? The report is adopted. There's an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment 006?
Amendment 006 is Senate Bill 193 by Senator Carroll, amendment printed bill page 3, line 6, strike
Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is probably confusing, taking this up before telling you anything about the bill. But this is in the context, this is a bill that is codifying the Supreme Court case of United States v. Jones, which is striking down the warrantless use of GPS tracking devices without a warrant. What we had codified was Montana's version of that, of how they codified the Supreme Court decision. And we have had some conversations in here about how we actually address some of the languages was written in the bill. So what this amendment clarifies is that the device as initially written was maybe too narrow as a GPS. It was always intended to include, for example, your cell phone, again, for warrantless tracking of people. By that, I basically need a probable cause and a warrant. There was always intended to be an exigent circumstances exception in here, although we needed to rewrite it in this amendment. I move L006. It includes the enumerated exceptions of basically if the owner consents, if the owner is dead, reported missing, or unable to be contacted, how you deal with minors, the constitutionally limited circumstances of when you would have exigent circumstances, and Colorado's good faith version limited to the actual information that was available at the time if it really did appear that there was probable cause at the time, and if the item has been abandoned. This is also clarifying that a third-party electronic communications service provider, if they're in compliance with this section of law, does not face liability for complying with the section of law, and would ask for an aye vote on L006.
Senator Lambert. Oh,
what she said.
Lambert, my apology. I do that. Senator Lambert, please. Apologize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What Madam President just said.
Is there further discussion of Amendment 6? Seeing none, all those in favor of the adoption of Amendment 6, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Amendment 6 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Carroll and Senator Lombard. Senator Lombard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me remind you what was adopted as a pretty good law back in 1792. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Of course, in 1792, they didn't anticipate GPS as being a possible way of tracking citizens, and yet the United States Supreme Court in U.S. v. Jones did recognize that in order for the Fourth Amendment to really be effective in the 21st century, we need to set those limits for when GPS tracking can be used and when not, and essentially boils down to this: it's when you've got a warrant, and that is much of the substance of Senate Bill 193, and we bring it before you to both keep us in line with the national law policy as well as the principles of the Fourth Amendment.
Further discussion, Senator Carroll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now that we're to the bill itself, I just wanted to add that we can make copies of the United States versus Jones case available to those of you. What was interesting is the facts on this is they actually did get a warrant and probable cause, and the warrant was good for 10 days, and then they went on surveilling without a warrant that had expired for about 30 days or so afterwards. We now have the technology to initiate and frankly create a lot of interesting situations on this. The heart of this case is striking down a warrantless search by GPS or other technology unless you've got some pretty narrow exigent circumstances going on. And that is the law of the highest court of the land. It does appear that there's actually some inconsistencies as far as how this is applied, although everyone does agree that this Supreme Court case does apply. Senator Lundberg and I are both feel very strongly about the Fourth Amendment, about our civil liberties, and that there's a reason why we require a probable cause and warrant. And so I'm very proud and grateful to be working on this measure with Senator Lundberg, and we would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Allow me to just add a little practical application to this as well. A couple of years ago, a constituent called me and talked about a circumstance where a tracking device had been put on her car without a warrant and was there for a very long time. And unfortunately, I could shake my head and commiserate with her, but we really didn't have clear, specific statutory direction that says you don't do that. That's what Senate Bill 193 is all about. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The other Senator Lundberg.
Finally, Senator Lambert.
I do have a question for the bill sponsors about the scope of the bill because the title is Location Information after U.S. v. Jones. In discussions I've had with DPS, I believe there's some limitations on what we can do with license plate readers. That if we're looking for a specific vehicle and have like a kidnapped vehicle or a stolen car, something like that, we can use license plate readers to scan those, as they're going by, but looking for that particular vehicle. But license plate readers should not be applied, just ad hoc to all cars passing by, hoping they will get a hit that's in a particular database. And I believe that's coming under the test called articulable suspicion, term of art. It's my understanding that some municipalities, for enforcement of, for instance, parking violations, have a technology where they go from car to car to car to car, even for those vehicles that have not overparked, that have not violated the law, get geospatial information and photographs of those license plates, time-stamped and geolocation stamped, and then we'll come back, and if they're creating their own database and come back sometime in the future, and if the car is still there, they'll give them a ticket. I'm wondering if that is going to be, I think that's really getting onto gray ground, gray area here with both articulable suspicion and probably the specifics of Jones versus U.S. or U.S. versus Jones on this, Jones versus U.S. And I'm wondering if that would be in the scope of this bill to stop that practice where basically people who are parking and they have parking or code enforcement and you're kind of presumed guilty or you're presumed under surveillance without a warrant by high-tech means like this that collect both geospatial information and specifics on people's license plates.
Senator Jones. Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good senator from El Paso County, very intelligent, interesting question. So on one hand, your license plate is plain view under the Fourth Amendment. So if you've got a person with the equipment that you could see with the own eyes, I'm thinking this out loud a little bit, I would check. The short version is I don't actually think that that would fit under this definition of a tracking advice, but you're raising what is the ongoing specter of what should the limits of this be. I think if you have a person who's documenting something with their own eyes as something that's in plain view, and they happen to be using electronic means to timestamp it, but when there's no, when it's a sweep and there's no person and it's not otherwise in plain view, it's an interesting question. I think that this bill, because of the facts of this case, is a little bit narrower. I think what we're talking about is a GPS tracker, or specifically to include the tracking mechanism that is within your cell phone. The facts you've brought up, I'm not aware of, have gone to the Supreme Court, and I think might actually be a little bit beyond the scope of what we've got covered in the bill, but it's a really interesting question, and it's a good question. It's one we should be asking. But I think under the current definition of device in here, it probably is not covered under the case.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we have certain implied consent situations, for instance, on toll roads where people's license plates are monitored for the purpose of collecting revenue. And we're allowing that to happen, but I don't believe those are typically accessed for code enforcement to give somebody a fine. For instance, I don't know. I think that would be one of these situations where we're using, you know, we're establishing a location, we're establishing a geospatial track on a particular person. That could be sort of a chilling effect of government surveillance. And this is sort of an extension of that, but in this case, it's being used for code enforcement to establish a database without a warrant under the idea that we will just scan all vehicles in a particular geographical area with the time, with the location, and we will be coming back and enforcing that, using that for code enforcement. So if, and I respect, I am, you know, it's getting late and it's late in the life of the bill, but I would like to continue a dialogue perhaps with the bill sponsors about that, because I think we also have a problem with privacy. For instance, when we're using, let me use a military example. There are certain definitions, differences in the definition between reconnaissance and surveillance, where, for instance, going over the United States with a Landsat satellite and looking down and looking at farmland and agricultural land, we're collecting information just by surveilling an entire area. But when you're going out and looking into you know, let's just say Senator Baumgartner's ranch, okay, and we're looking at and we want to see what his ranch is. That's reconnaissance. That is a tasked mission for a particular purpose. And I'm concerned with some of these other technical things they're using, both by law enforcement, by code enforcement, even by revenue for tracking these things. And maybe this is a discussion for a different day, but I'm thinking this is getting very close to overlapping into some of those areas, so maybe we continue that later. Thank you.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure I understand this bill. So what happened was somebody had a GPS device, they attached it to a person's car, a person named Jones' car. Is that right? And then this bill makes it harder for somebody to track them around. Is that correct?
Without a warrant.
Without a warrant. So members, I'd ask you to vote for this bill because it's going to make it harder to keep up with the Joneses.
Is is there further discussion of Senate Bill 193? Seeing no further discussion of Senate Bill 193, all those in favor say aye. And those opposed say no. Senate Bill 193 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1009?
House Bill 1009 by Representative Exum and Senator Nicholson concerning changing the wildfire mitigation income tax deduction to the wildfire mitigation income tax credit in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we lay over House Bill 1009 until Friday, May 2nd.
The motion before us is to lay over House Bill 1009 till Friday, May 2nd. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. House Bill 1009 is laid over. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 201?
Senate Bill 201 by Senator Newell and Representative Singer concerning reestablishing a child protection ombudsman advisory worker to develop a plan for accountable autonomy for the child protection ombudsman program.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 201 and the Legislative Council report and the Health and Human Services report.
To the Health and Human Services report.
Thank you, members. In the Health and Human Services, we, let's see, in the Health and Human Services, we added members rather than just from one chamber, from both. And the Chief Justice can appoint the judicial appointment rather than the governor. So a good idea there. And then that the work group may consult with the state auditor, the Office of Legislative Legal Services, Legislative Council, and other nonprofit organizations is pertinent to the duties of the work group. And I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion of the Health and Human Services report? Seeing none, all those in favor of the adoption of the Health and Human Services report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The report is adopted. To the Legislative Council report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
No.
Members, I move the report and ask for an aye vote. What we did there in Legislative Council was we removed the legislators from the council, from the work group, and replaced them with 4 members of the public. And that is what we did.
The motion, is there further discussion of the Leg Council report? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of the Legislative Council report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 201, which passed unanimously out of Health and Human Services. And the history on this is that in 2010, we had, in 2008 and 9, when I came into office, we were having a crisis with child fatalities in Colorado. And so we started to look for improvements in the child protection system. So in 2010, we created unanimously in both chambers in 2010, we created the Office of the Child Protection Ombudsman, which is the objective resource where people can go with complaints, comments, and concerns about the child protection system. And 3 years later, here we are, we have a performance audit going, which was part of the plan in 2010. And we have realized that where it is located might need to be, will need to be changed. It is under the Office of the Executive Director of Human Services, reporting through a contract to the Executive Director. And what that has created is they are an office that is monitoring the department that they are reporting to. So it has created an inherent conflict in with both parties, with both CDHS being able to do their job of monitoring the contract, but also the Ombudsman's job of being able to monitor the system. So this, in 2010, we had an advisory work group that got together to create the implementation plan of the office. And now we are just reforming that work group so that we can create a plan for autonomy and accountability of the office. We will be able to use the auditor's findings as well, and then we come back and that group will be able to give recommendations for next year. So with that, Madam Chair, I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion of Senate Bill 201, Senator Lambert. The other Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question for the bill sponsor. I know on, I don't know, thank you, because I didn't know much about some of these offices before we got working on some of the other bills. But I know the Office of the Child Representative and I think the Foreign Defense Council have boards that have oversight and so forth over their actions, and I think you said this is under a contract. Did they also have a board established in the Office of the Child Protection Ombudsman?
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. They do have an advisory council to the Ombudsman Office, yes.
Continue, Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, what is the difference between the roles and missions of that council and the work group, and why is the council unable, under their current structure, to perform the same functions?
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Because the advisory council was, it's not in statute, and it's more of an informal advisory council that actually the Ombudsman Office selected. So that's why we need the advisory group that actually has the various members of it, like OCR on it. We have the judicial, we have counties on it, we have child advocates on it, members of the public on it, and then the agencies. So outlined in the bill, it has the various parties that, and it also has a person who has been involved in the foster care system. So that's why we needed to put this in statute and make it formalized. I hope.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you. Well, and again, I'm not so sure that that's necessary in statute. In my opinion, it may not be. I know in El Paso County we have some ad hoc groups. They're not in statute, and yet they get every every organization around town meets. They meet together. They exchange information. They have mutual accountability. In this particular case, I think this is under a contract, which is appropriate that they have their own advisory work group. But I think from the list of all the other meetings that the Ombudsman Office attends, it seems like there's no lacking of communication. So I don't know. I'm not convinced yet that we need to put this in statute for a contractor.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator from El Paso County. The child welfare advocate, or the child advocates, came to me with great concern over where the office is sitting right now. And the safest thing that we can do for all parties involved is to have this formalized so that they can come back with formal recommendations. Otherwise, we stand to lose the office for various reasons. The issues are the balance of power in the advisory group. And so this way, all the parties felt comfortable. The CDHS felt comfortable. Counties felt comfortable. The child advocates, OCR, actually helped us write the bill as well. And so you understand them very closely now. This is supported by all, including the Kemp Center, the Tennyson Center. I mean, all of the child advocates. And so this is something that is actually much needed so that we can figure out where. Now, we did try to suggest that we just move the office, this year. But that's not going to happen because we need to make sure that it's fully vetted. In speaking with the state auditor about it as well, she had recommended that we move forward with this, that it is the best thing to do to have the work groups so that it can be fully vetted. So the auditor herself is recommending this process as well, so that we don't rush to anything, and we can also consult with the auditor and with the audit findings that they have of the office now.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess the new advisory group that we're setting up to examine these operations inside the Child Protection Ombudsman's office, is there a problem inside the office right now to where we have to have a group look into the group that's already supposed to be taking care of the ombudsman?
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, there are huge problems with people from the outside, the child advocates, who are saying we need more independence because this is a contract that is reporting to the executive director of the department that they are supposed to be monitoring. So it's hard for them to do their job, and it's hard for the human services folks to do their job because they're supposed to be monitoring this contract. And so it is actually difficult for both of them to do their job. So we need to figure out what is the best governance model for that. And the advisory council that the Ombudsman Office currently has, well, that's skewed toward the Ombudsman because they created their own council by themselves. You see where I'm going? So with the advisory work group that we had before that worked really well with the implementation of the office, we're just reforming that so that it can be a balanced group that looks at it, and you don't have not skewed, but the perspective leaning in one direction. Does that make more sense?
Senator Baumgartner.
Start there. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the working group that's already there, how many members is that looking about the ombudsman?
Senator Newell.
I don't know because that's not a formal group, and it is a group that is not. It's not in statute. It is just advisory to the Ombudsman Office themselves. It's not. I don't know how often they may be quarterly. I don't know.
Okay.
Senator Baumgartner.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. 15 members on this board.
Yes.
To oversee that. 2 legislators.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was changed in the Leg Council.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, we don't have the legislators on it. It's members of the public who have been replaced with that.
Senator Baumgartner.
But thank you, Madam Chair, but still a 15-member board.
15-member. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the other things that I had a question about was down the local government impact. It says the bill increases workload to local government agencies that serve on the task force, and it can cost the county's money. How's that going to be paid for? Is that going to be paid out of this ombudsman's group?
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The counties are begging to be on it. In fact, they wanted more seats at the table than I was willing to give them because they already have 3 seats at the table. So they're absorbing the cost and everything else. It's just the attendance of that person. No member serves on it with reimbursement of anything. So the counties want to be at the table. They're willing to pay their own way there, and they want to make sure that they have a voice at the table.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I just
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that I'm going to ask for a no vote on Senate Bill 201 because it seems like that we've got people watching people that's supposed to be in charge of other people. Just seems like we're continuing to grow these groups bigger and bigger all the time. And it's just, I feel it's an expansion of government, so I'm going to ask for a no vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'm going to ask for a yes vote. I do ask for a yes vote on this bill. And believe me, I don't want to defend more study groups at all, but here's the goal. I actually spoke on this yesterday on a very different bill, but the goal is this. It's to create some meaningful accountability for child protection services, because they are essentially unanswerable to anyone because of the way federal law works on confidentiality and the way the whole system has come together. The Ombudsman's office right now is underneath the Department of Human Services, and that's the fox and, or the, you know, that's probably the wrong way to put it exactly, but it's the accountability, the Ombudsman's office needs to be an outside authority that can look in and ensure that things are done right. Now, I don't think that's enough either. I believe we should take other steps as well, but I think this is one step that's necessary. I regret that we've got a complicated process to go through to get there, but we've got to get there, and that's why I am supporting this. I'm very slow to put any extra projects and people and programs in place, but we have to put some accountability in place for child protective services. There isn't enough there. We need it. That's why I'm supporting this bill.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator from Berthoud. This passed unanimously out of Health and Human Services. There are no organizations in opposition to this. There are no even individuals that I know of who are in opposition to this. And without this, and I tried actually, the other senator who was just talking, I tried to move this along faster, but got pushback, honestly, from all of the parties. All of the parties said we need to make sure that we do this right and that we have a thoughtful process behind it. There's no fiscal note, and this is literally creating more autonomy and more accountability for the Ombudsman office, and which was unanimous in 2010. So it's a popular office. We all want to keep that office, but we need to make sure that we find the right governance model. And so I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion of Senate Bill 201? Seeing none, all those in favor of adoption of Senate Bill 201, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Senate Bill 201 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1315?
House Bill 1315 by Representative Gardner, Senator Shuffle, concerning the enactment of certain model acts adopted by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners in connection therewith enacting the Credit for Reinsurance Model Act and a portion of the Insurer Receivership Model Act that governs netting agreements.
Senator Shuffle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1315 on second reading. No committee report.
The bill, Senator Shuffle?
Yep. Colleagues, House Bill 1315 is a NAIC, National Association of Insurance Commissioners bill, which the good senator from Aurora may wish to comment on. In Business, Labor, and Technology, we discussed the virtues or lack thereof of credit for reinsurance and such thing as netting agreements. We had a vigorous debate and some agreement and some lack of agreement. I'm happy to report that that was all worked out after we got out of committee. And do have an amendment to address that.
There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L004?
Amendment L004 to House Bill 1315.
Senator Shuffle.
Madam Chair, I move L004 to House Bill 1315.
To the amendment?
Members, what 004 does is it addresses and clarifies the effective date on when reinsurance agreements are affected. I'm happy to report that after the committee, we did meet with the stakeholders and the Commissioner of Insurance, and this is the result of those meetings, having worked it all out. Ask for an aye vote on 004.
Is there further discussion of Amendment 4? Seeing none, all those in favor of adoption of Amendment 4, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The aye has it. Senator Sheffel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ask for an aye vote on 1315.
To the bill? Further discussion, Senator Todd?
You moved it. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just was very excited when I read this bill because I didn't sit in the committee. I didn't hear the bill. I didn't know anything about it. But when I saw NAIC, those are new letters that I had just learned about, and that is because my son has just gone to work for NAIC in Kansas City. And so I congratulate you, Senator Sheffel, and I will be supporting 1315. And you have helped me have a better understanding of how Matt spends his day. So thank you.
Is there further discussion of House Bill 1315? Seeing none, all those in favor of the adoption of House Bill 1315, please say aye. Those opposed, say no. House Bill 1315 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 210?
Senate Bill 210 by Senators Cadman and Aguilar and Representatives Sonnenberg and Kraft are concerning the conduct of examinations of insurers by the Commissioner of Insurance in connection therewith requiring a pre-examination conference, and the conference will be held before issuance of a draft examination report.
Kumbaya.
Senator Cadman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We move Senate Bill 210 and the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report and ask for a no vote. We actually have a better amendment, and I've talked to the committee chairman. We don't even need to discuss this. We just need it to go away so we can offer the correct amendment. It's a technical amendment, has nothing to do with Chatfield. Would ask for a no vote.
Is there further discussion, State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of the State Veterans and Military Affairs report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. No. The adoption of the report fails. To the bill, Mr. Majors, we have an amendment on the desk. Would you please read Amendment L004?
Amendment L004, Senate Bill 210 by Senator Aguilar, strike the State Veterans Military Affairs Committee report dated April 20th.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L004.
To the amendment?
This amendment is doing what the State Affairs Committee should have done. We had a little miscommunication. The major thing we've done is to be sure that both the market pre-examination conference and pre-draft conference occur without the commissioner being present. And I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion of Amendment 4? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment 4. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The amendment is adopted. To the bill, Senator Cadman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This bill is about market examinations for the insurance industry, and this is about having a pre-examination conference so that the parties that are involved in this market conduct exam and the insurance division can have kind of a forecast of what the division expects during the examination, and this is so that all parties can have some sort of understanding before the official draft of what is required in the examination is drafted. Would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion of Senate Bill 210? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 210. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Senate Bill 210 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 212?
Senate Bill 212 by Senator Ulibarri and Representative Lee concerning clarifying changes to the provisions related to best practices in bond setting.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 212 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the Judiciary Committee report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Judiciary Committee amended the bill in Section 2 to clarify the definition of factual findings.
Is there further discussion of the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none. The question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 212 is a technical cleanup bill to the changes we made in the best practices in bond sending last year. There was legislation that was initiated in the House that we passed here in the Senate unanimously. There were oversights in the bail setting statutes. We didn't include stalking when we were referencing bond conditions. We made statements to a court of record when in some rural jurisdictions there is no court of record. So that was clarified. This bill was agreed upon by the DAs, the sheriffs, the bail bond industry groups, the defense bar, all of the partners that worked through CCJJ on the initial bill did this technical cleanup and are in agreement.
Is there further discussion of Senate Bill 212? Seeing none. The question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 212. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The bill is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 208?
Senate Bill 208 by Senator Jones and Representative Fields concerning the reinstatement of the authority for a veteran who has not been dishonorably discharged to practice professionally.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 208. There are no amendments. Members, what this bill does is it says if somebody's an honorably discharged veteran, probably recently returned from active duty service, that if they meet the requirements for professional licensure, they shall get their license, not a may. And I ask for a yes vote.
Is there further discussion of Senate Bill 208? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 208. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Senate Bill 208 is adopted. Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise in the report.
The motion before us is to rise in the report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion passes.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 30th, 2014, Madam President, your committee of the whole basically reports under consideration of the following tax bills, being second thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 193 is amended, Senate Bill 201 is amended, Senate Bill 210 is amended, Senate Bill 212 is amended, Senate Bill 208 passed on second reading in order to go to space the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1292 is amended, House Bill 1315 is amended, passed on second reading in order to revise space the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1316, House Bill 1009 laid over until May 2nd, 2014, retaining the place of the calendar.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Any discussion? Question before the body is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 193 is amended, Senate Bill 201 is amended, Senate Bill 210 is amended, Senate Bill 212 is amended, Senate Bill 208 passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1292 is amended, House Bill 1315 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1316, House Bill 1009 laid over until May 2nd, 2014, and retaining their place on the calendar. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate take up House Bill 1102 on special orders at 9:13.
The motion is to take up House Bill 1102 on special orders at the hour of 9:13. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will take up House Bill 1102 on special orders at the hour of 9:13. And the Senate will stand in a brief recess while we prepare and distribute that calendar. The Senate will come back to order. Special orders, second reading of bills. Senator Schwartz. For the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senate will resolve itself to the committee of the whole for purpose of considering special orders, second reading bills calendar, and Senator Schwartz will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1102?
House Bill 1102 by Representative Pettis, Senator Curry, concerning gifted education programs in public schools in connection therewith making an appropriation.
You don't need to do anything.
Well, Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that House Bill 1102 be re-referred to the Committee on Appropriations.
Is there, the motion before us is to move House Bill 1102 to the Committee on Appropriations. Is there any discussion of the motion? See no discussion. The motion before us is moving House Bill 1102 to the Committee on Appropriations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. House Bill 1102 is moved to the Committee on Appropriations. Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise and report.
The motion before us is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has had a bill under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 30th, 2014, Madam President, your committee to open reports under consideration of the following attached bill being the Senate where thereof makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1102 referred to the Committee on Appropriations.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee report is adopted. House Bill 1102 referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1036 by Representatives Weller and Sane and Senators King and Johnston concerning drunk driving offenses in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Judiciary and State Veterans and Military Affairs. Signing of bills.
April 30th, 2014, the President signed Senate Bills 30, 41, 49, 103, 123, 132, 143, 154, 156, 160, 163, 165, 169. House Bills 1095, 1144, 1162, 1211, 1266, 1287, 1290, 1307, 1312, 1335, 1347. House Joint Memorial 1001, House Joint Resolutions 1012 and 1014.
Announcements.
Colleagues, anyone
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I've been asked to announce that that House Bill 1367 will be added to the Transportation Committee agenda tomorrow in committee May 1st. And colleagues, you've done yeoman's work again. I thank you very much for your great cooperation, sticking around on third reading, etc. We've got a couple more busy days ahead of us, but I know we're up to the challenge. I've been asked to announce that Senate Appropriations will meet at 12 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, May 1st, and we'll hear House Bills 1013, 1296, 1319, 1360, 1380, then Senate Bills 196, 213, 215, 217, 218, and 219. Thank you, Senator Hodge. And Health and Human Services is adding on House Bill 1369 and House Bill 1396 to their agenda tomorrow. Again, thanks everybody. I think we can go and watch hopefully the last period of the Avalanche's victory. So with that, I move we adjourn till 9 a.m. Thursday, May 1st.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, May 1st.
Thank you. Good job,